Thanks, PV, for taking out time to be with us here today. So Mohan gave a quick intro about OpsRamp. We'll kind of quickly delve into what they do for a business and all of the things that they've done to scale, not just for India, but how they've built a SaaS product out of India and have scaled globally. So to kind of get things started, PV, I know you started out as an engineer at OpsRamp. Obviously, you've grown the team, grown the product. You head, the global sales operations for OpsRamp, and in fact, you're the country head for OpsRamp in India. Talk us through this journey, right? So as an individual, having gone through this multiple phases yourself, and of course, also in the process, give us an overview of what OpsRamp does.
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Prabhakar, for having me here. So we started this journey in 2014, right? OpsRamp is a SaaS product which will help customers to monitor and manage their infrastructure. Just a one-liner, right? If you look at this whole thing, it's a service-centric AIOps platform which will help the customers, which can be the MSPs or enterprise customers, where they can use the platform to have have the visibility of the infrastructure, whether it is a hybrid cloud or a multi-cloud or a data center, whatever it is, or containers or Kubernetes, whatever it is, right? So they can see the health and they can have visibility on what's happening. They can optimize it, and they can take the next steps based on multiple data analytics that they have in the system. That's about the platform. So coming to my journey, so this company was a kind of a spin-off from another company. So in 2014, I was kind of one of the founding engineers there. We started in Hyderabad, and it's been 5 years. We have around 1,800 plus customers today, right? So the challenge, if you ask me the challenge, obviously every day is a new learning. So we started with 10 people and then started scaling it, adding more and more people and all those things from the team point of view. And the second thing, from the product point of view, we started with, our focus was very US-centric initially, and then we started growing into other data centers and all those things. Today we have around 5 pods, similar to what DigitalOcean says, right? So we have like 5 pods managing around 800 customers. That's the high level. From a company point of view, we have 2 locations. One is the Hyderabad where I work, and we have another location in Bhimavaram. So we have around 200 people working, and yeah, it's been a great journey so far.
Right. I think as we were discussing, you shared some stats that were phenomenal, right? You are processing 150 billion metrics on a monthly basis, right? And that sounds like hyperscale. Talk us through what's the secret sauce that kind of helps you kind of process as many transactions on any given day?
Yeah, so before I go there, I just want to give maybe details on how our current scale is, right? So we have globally 5 pods. So each pod is like 2 data centers, which delivers to a certain set of customers. The reason is, first of all, the reason we have 5 pods is to have this data, the data policies across the world, Europe, Japan, Canada, and in North America, right? So each pod can manage up to 1 million metrics. And 1 million metrics can be anything. It can be your server, or it can be your cloud component, native component. And one of our pod in US manages around close to 1 million resources and processes close to 150 billion metrics per month. When I say that, it's basically the monitoring data, right, what we collect. And on top of it, we process around 200 million events, which is basically up-down events or whatever, and correlate them to a 2 million. It's like a 1:100 kind of a correlation. And then you have the function running and all those things, right? That's the platform. If you ask me what is the secret sauce or whatever, the first thing I would say is technology. Be flexible with the technology, improvising that and understanding, measure it right, and get ready to change if something doesn't work. I think that's one of the main thing I would say. You need to be very, very, close and closely monitor what stacks you are using, how you are using, and all those things. Because if our system slows down for a minute, it's like crazy thing, right? That's first thing. The second thing is you need to have the right team. I don't think anyone has any objection on that, but building the right team is the most important thing. When we started, we want to make sure that we have engineers who believe in our vision of building the world-class platform. And we are hardcore product company, right? So getting someone who believes in that and delivering it, I think those two, I would say, are the main key areas we focused on to make sure that we scale to what we are scaling today.
Sure. So I think for processing those kind of transactions, infrastructure plays a big component, right?
Yeah.
I know you use DigitalOcean as the business. If you could kind of help explain what role does DigitalOcean today play in a lot of the transactions that you process today?
Yeah. So till 2017, we are a purely data center guys. Okay. So we manage our own platform and our own infrastructure and everything. So in 2017, we started looking for other options because we want to be more agile, focus more on the business and on all those things, right? So, and then we started looking at multiple components. One of our chief architect, he recommended DigitalOcean, I think in the early 2018, something like that. So from second quarter of 2018, I touched base with your team, and we started, experimenting with it and all those things. Today we have 5 applications running out of DigitalOcean, right? It has been immensely helpful, especially this. I think everyone is telling the same thing. I don't want to repeat it, but the simplicity or the ease of use is what really made the difference for me, right? I know there are multiple things, but I think that's one thing we started. And today we run around 5 applications across 5 locations of yours, right? San Francisco, New York, London, Amsterdam, Tokyo. And we primarily use this basic framework of droplets and all those things. And I think that's what we are using the whole thing for. But if you ask me why and what is the thing, I think many cloud, all the public cloud companies has a lot of components in them, right? There are a lot of things. But the way we choose DigitalOcean is how relevant is that platform to our business use case, right? So if we are using only 3 or 4 components, why don't we go and use only 3 or 4 components? So less complexity and less. That's how we ended up using DigitalOcean.
Sure. I mean, it's interesting that you're a part of that kind of group that's moving from traditional data centers onto the public cloud, right? For a company that processes as many transactions, what are some of the frameworks or what are some of the key decision points that you had to take internally to make that decision to move to the public cloud and in specific DigitalOcean?
So I'll break this into 2 parts, right? First one is, first of all, you need to make sure a platform can do that kind of a processing, right? I'll tell you one classic example. We use Redis as one of our, cache layer, right? If you look at Redis definitely processes a huge amount of data, but as we learned that the way we implement Redis is how you can get the value, right? So there are a lot of infrastructure components that we need to fine tune as we scale. It's not that you can just build it on a data center or a cloud will change everything. The key is to identify those elements. Even if you're using a MySQL database, you need to make sure that all your queries are optimized and all those things. That is one part. I think this has been a daily process for us to fine tune and get to what we are. The second thing, the reason we now are focusing more on the cloud is to reduce the go-to market or go-to production time. So this gives us a lot of flexibility. So you spin off a couple of droplets, just deploy it, and then you can validate some of these technologies. If it is working great, if it is not working, you can fine tune. So I think those kind of things are really helping us to scale. Sure. That's been a big thing for us.
Also, building SaaS, in India is a relatively new phenomenon, right? Now, not only have you built that company, but you've scaled it to great heights, right? So, talk about the experience of building a SaaS product out of India.
Yeah. So this has been a wonderful experience. So as I told you, our first office was in Hyderabad, right? When we started, the key challenge or the key, good challenge to have is to make sure that the team understands the vision and what we are trying to do. What is SaaS, how it scales, and all those things. And the second part is we are in an infrastructure domain. Infrastructure domain is the most complex and noisy domain, right? Things change every day. Today you have, for example, I will take your DigitalOcean. In last 3 months, you guys released like 3-4 new features, right? So things evolve very fastly. So we need to have the right set of people who are flexible and adaptable to new things and have that product mindset. So that has been one of the cultural thing that we made sure from day one to build it, right? That's first thing. The second thing is understanding the industry, how it is going. For example, whether it is open source or anything. So we spend a lot of time understanding how other companies are using it, how we can leverage them, how we can scale them and all those things. And the third thing is there is a fundamental mindset, at least when I saw people tend more towards a service than a product, right? That has been one thing. So again, it goes back to the culture that you're building, to build a product-based and with the right people who can do this. So, and to do that, what we did is we built our second location in Bhimavaram, which is near to Vijayawada, I don't know, right? And we literally, what we did is we hired people out of college and made them understand the whole thing so that they are industry ready and who can build the SaaS products and all those things. So that's what has been a good journey so far.
Also, sitting out of India and selling a SaaS product to international countries outside of India requires very strategic planning, right? So talk us through what your go-to-market looks like, right? What are some of the things that you do from a go-to-market perspective?
So we operate on two levels. One is we work very closely with partners, very, very closely with partners. And then we deal with and we talk to enterprise things, right? For example, if you go to our website, you'll find that NIIT, Second Watch, they are all one of the biggest managed service providers. They are our partners. So what we did is we enabled them to leverage our platform to do infrastructure management services for their end customers, right? It can be a service visibility or infrastructure visibility. I think that is one thing which really worked for us. The second thing is, when it comes to enterprise, the thing is we try to make, in enterprise what happens is you have multiple departments and each one has their own tool, each one has their own IT thing, right? So what we did is, the product definition itself will do something we call it as digital command center. That means it gives you visibility across all your organization, across all your groups and all those things. So this makes the IT as a service provider rather than a support function. So I think these two business use cases really helped us go big on how we sell the product and all those things. That has been the strong point for us.
So predominantly channels worked really well.
Yes, partner channels as well as the enterprise, because that use case is very important, where they can showcase the value of what the efforts they're putting in.
Sure. And also, as you sell this SaaS product to potentially enterprise companies, I'm sure they also ask you about uptimes, availability, the infrastructure that you use.
Yes.
What are the kind of questions that you typically get? And based on how you use us today, how do we kind of help you make that sell today?
So obviously, there are three simple questions. What is your committed uptime? And no one wants to take less than 5 nines or 6 nines. And the second one is security, right? With all these new things that are coming up, whether it is SOC compliance or HIPAA compliance and all these compliance, right? There is a lot of vulnerability testing, penetration testing that we do on the system. That is the second question. The third question is the data availability. Where is the data getting stored? Is it getting stored in US? It is getting stored in Europe. I'll tell you a classic example. In Europe, when we started, the first thing we have to deal with is to prove that the data is not going out, right? Sure. So we went through, so as a SaaS, there are 3 things that we need to be very careful. One, I would say, is the data integrity and the data isolation is very, very important. And the second thing is the security of your platform. Either it can be your, network security or your infrastructure security or whatever. That's the second. And the third thing is your application should go through all the standard SDLC thing, right? The security is part of your engineering. It cannot be outside the engineering, right? So with all these things, I think that's how any SaaS should do. And luckily for us, I think we are in the right thing kind of thing, I think. And coming to infrastructure, one question people ask is where are you hosting your application? Right? The moment I say our infrastructure, they will ask where are you storing? Give us the SOC reports, this reports, and that reports. And the moment I say DigitalOcean, they'll ask about DigitalOcean credentials and all those things. But I believe that's part of the thing, and continue to evolve in that.
As you kind of ramp up your operations and business, what are some of the growth plans for you, for your company, for your business?
So I think, instead of staying a growth plans, my sales guy will explain it better, but let me talk about two things, right? First thing is coming to our roadmap, the way we want to do it. One is our product roadmap. We want to be the de facto service-centric AIOps platform that any customer can use. That's our goal. And that has been our desire, and that will continue to be our motivation to move forward. The second thing is coming to the roadmap when it comes to deployment, we will continue to leverage a lot of, I would not say platform as a service, but more like a infrastructure as a service kind of a components, and move more towards this container-based, Kubernetes-based, and all those things, where our time to market and the redundancy and all those things are much improved. I think those two areas we will be focusing more on the operations front.
So on both of these focus areas, right? So do you have any, wish lists for DigitalOcean? How do you anticipate growing with DigitalOcean, or things that you would like to see from DigitalOcean?
I think I already gave my wish list to.
You're not the right person.
So yeah, I think a couple of things. Again, I'm just repeating it. I think the biggest strength of DigitalOcean, as I see it, is the simplicity, right? Which makes it much. The second thing I would say is there are some things like VPC and the VPN kind of the system that I believe DigitalOcean should prioritize, because that makes it's very easy for companies to move their at least some of their parts, like some part of their infrastructure into DigitalOcean. I think that is one thing I would really see that happening. And the second thing is, obviously, I think the support is great so far, but I want to see a lot more, enterprise kind of a thing, SLAs and all those things, which will really help us build the credibility to us as well as to the customers when we go along with DigitalOcean. That's, I think.
Great. Thanks for that feedback. Also, as someone who's scaled this company like from 1% team to whatever it is, and of course the immense growth that you've seen in terms of business metrics, you're adopted by 1,800 companies globally. It's been a long journey, right? And along the way, you've had a lot of learnings, things that potentially might have not worked as you planned. For a lot of the entrepreneurs that are sitting here, what are some, kind of nuggets of wisdom that you would want to share of things that they should watch out for as they build their applications, maybe SaaS products, especially for both the Indian market as well as the global markets?
First of all, I don't know if I can give a suggestion or anything, but at least my learning is two things. One is you need to be adaptable and flexible to technology, right? It is a continuous learning. You cannot say, I want to use Python and I'll use Python all my life, right? It doesn't work that way. So you need to be always evolve your product, get feedback into it. And the second thing is you should be 100% customer focused. There is no way other than that thing to make the, that whatever you're trying to do to be successful, right? Get feedback, good or bad, adapt to it and understand. And, I think that's the two things that's my learnings at least.
Sure. Also, specifically going back to your journey, I'm sure at what point did you think your product met product market fit, right? And that's something that most startups struggle with, right? They continue to keep at it, trying to obviously get to product market fit. What was that tipping point for you in your business?
I think, this whole use case of digital command center and the leveraging AIOps and machine learning to optimally reconcile the alerts and rerouting the incidents, I think those two are the areas which really work for us, if you ask me, right? Because there are customers who has plethora of tools, and they are all confused on how to leverage it for their infrastructure management, right? So the digital command center, one use case that we developed, and the second thing is the whole new AIOps that we're trying to do along with the containerization. I think those two are the main things that got us a lot of attention, and customers are talking to us and implementing it, kind of things.
Sure. Thanks for that, PV. I think we're almost up on time. Thanks a lot for the feedback, the insights that you've shared.